The Loudoun County, Virginia GOP chair. He was whining and complaining because of a photo of Deltas. It was a photo of a number of Deltas taken at the White House. This is the photo right here. And so he sent this tweet out. He goes, even the Loudoun, this is the tweet, Skull and Bones has lost their power. It's now the sorority known as Delta Sigma Theta who is taking control of our country at all levels of government. Even the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors chairman is a Delta. Well, that Delta joins us right now, Phyllis Randall. Phyllis, glad to have you on the show. You had to laugh at this fool whining and complaining by saying oh my God, how dare they throw their sign up on the White House lawn. It's public and these Deltas and oh my God, then he said these Deltas are saying they're running government in Virginia. He don't know nothing about black sororities, black fraternities. He don't know jack about the phrase when we say we running stuff and just running his mouth and it's all a matter and then say, even you, how dare Phyllis Randall put photos of her throwing up her sign and wearing her colors.
Right. So, first of all, thank you for having me. And secondly, I saw your beautiful wife, who's my soror, and actually in the same chapter that I'm in a little earlier. So love to Jackie. Listen, Scott Pio is in some ways he's a joke, but in other ways I take him very seriously because when you put people who are not serious in serious positions, they can become very dangerous. And so I can laugh at some of the things he says and does. That doesn't mean I don't take him seriously because he can also be a very dangerous person as chair of the Republican Party of Loudoun County. Loudoun County is a very powerful county. And Scott Pio, we were all just shocked when the Republicans voted him chair. I mean, that post is one of the least offensive things Scott Pio has said in the past many months. He recently was the Republican Party's candidate for a state office. The fact that the state Republican Party allowed that man to be the chair of a state to be a candidate for a state office was shocking. The fact that the Loudoun County Republican Committee has made him chair of their committee is disturbing. And so, although I laugh at some of the things he does, I do take it seriously because he's in a serious position. And if you put somebody like that in a serious position, they're dangerous people. I think we all learned that when we elected the most non-serious person in the world to the highest office in the land. He was a very dangerous person in that office, and so I take him seriously. I don't ignore him. I laugh, but in laughing, I keep my eye on the prize.
Of course. Absolutely. So after he was on, so he put out some tweets today. Y'all go ahead and put them up. Thanks for the time to chat and allow me to come on. I know you have to spin it to sell views, but I'd love to do coffee with you sometime. Since we both live in Loudoun, I'd love to chat one-on-one. Well, actually, Scott, I didn't spin anything. People saw and heard you exactly what you said. Was that another tweet he put up, y'all? Come on, Crossroad, thank you. Had several nice chats today with some Deltas, both online and offline. They were very helpful in giving up their time. Some nice discussions to be had if we just break down barriers and start talking to each other. Thank you to those people who spent their time to talk. But here's the reality here, Phyllis. He was attacking you, and there were some things that he said that were absolutely wrong. And because, like, for instance, when he tried to mesh the two to say, this is what he said. He said that you hired the executive director of the Deltas who pleaded guilty to embezzlement. First off, this person was your chief of staff before becoming executive director, correct?
She was, and she was convicted of the embezzlement. It had nothing to do with the county. She wasn't in my employ when that happened. She wasn't part of my employ when that happened. I knew nothing about it. In fact, I knew nothing about it until the morning she was going to go to court, and the president of our sorority called me and let me know that it was happening. So I had nothing to do with that at all, and they know that.
No, right? But again, timeline. And this is why I tell people all the time why, yes, it is important to put these people on the front street to force them to ask questions. Even in the clip that we just played there, he said, Phyllis Randall hired the former executive director of the Deltas who's going to prison for embezzlement. She was chief of staff before, left you to become executive director. Goes to the Deltas, gets fired in 2019. A month later, they uncover the embezzlement, gets reported. She and her husband plead guilty in November of 2021. So he made it sound as if you hired her after all this happened. That's the lie.
Actually, before we knew, she actually worked for me, went to the Deltas, and came back and was with me for a short time before we found out any of this happened. And then she was actually with me when I found out this happened. She was back with me, and within 4 hours of me finding out that she was involved in anything, I walked her out of my office. So my office had absolutely nothing to do with it at all. But
also this attack on other Deltas. One of our guests last night said this is an attack on black women. And so when he's attacking the state senator, Louise Lucas, with what she's saying, when he's attacking other folks, what he is doing is he doesn't like the fact that you have these black women who are in positions of power, which is why I said, hey, man, if you clueless about Deltas, go find, there's some black Republican Deltas. Why don't you go find and talk to them? But this is and then to say, well, Louise said that she and Phyllis are fulfilling the mission of Delta Sigma Theta. He goes, what's their mission? That's why I was like, fool, go to the website. It's right there. And so these are folks who do not like the fact that we have black organizations that are involved in politics, in community, in culture, who care about what happens to our community, and we have just as much right to be with these issues as the League of Women Voters, as Conservative Women for America, as any of the rest of these groups out here.
Any of the rest of those groups who, if invited, will go to the White House, will stand together, will take a picture, will be proud to be there. All those same things. All those same things would happen. It's not about any of those things. It's not about the fact that there were women at the White House. It's not about the fact that there were women at the White House throwing up a sign. It's not about any of that. It's who they were. That is the issue. It's who they were. And, the funny thing is, as an elected official, as a public servant, I have never even one time said something like Deltas are running the county or Deltas are running things. Listen, the truth is, I'm an elected official. The people who run things are the citizens of my county. I'm working for them. I am a public servant for them. So there was almost nothing that came out of his mouth last night was truth. And he knows that. But, throughout the day-to-day, people have called me and they said, why have you responded to Scott Pio? Leave him alone. He's an ignorant man. He's a silly man.
I disagree with those people. I disagree. You do not allow people to say stuff, and because silence, people go, oh, must be true.
People fill in the void with what they hear, and if the lie is repeated enough times, and it is not answered, and it is not responded to, people assume that lie must be the truth. And again, this is not the worst thing that Scott Pio has ever said. It's just not. I mean, offensive, yes. But was I surprised by that? No, he's Scott Pio. He's the one that said, that he's the one that talked in one of his tweets that he sent out one time when I talked about the fact that there was some misinformation put out in textbooks about what it was to be an enslaved person. And enslaved people were happy that they could own guns, that they had family units. And I put out how incorrect that information was. And he comes on my page and says, tell me where that's incorrect. I don't see where that's historically wrong. He's the one who asked the question, if we take all the boats out of the water, would the sea levels go down? He's the one that asked the question, why do we have a Women's History Month? Why can't men have a Men's History Month and wear all white? This is who Scott Pio is. Right? But the problem is, this is who Scott Pio has always been when the Republican Party of Loudoun County voted for him to be the chair of their committee. So now they gave an unserious man a serious position. And that is what I'm responding to, the position, not the man.
Absolutely. Reese, question, Phyllis?
First of all, Reese, it is amazing to see you, and your baby is beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
All the time.
Well, I just want to talk about the safety aspect of this because, Howard, I believe yesterday, the Delta marker was vandalized as well as other sororities and fraternities, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep,
And,
yeah, Howard University, yep.
Right. And then when you start talking about secret societies, it just gives me the call back to QAnon, and we know how people respond to those things. So can you just talk about the implications beyond, obviously, the threat that this is really serving as a pretext to attack Black women, but also the seriousness, as you're referring to, when people try to assign a sinister motive to an organization like Delta Sigma Theta?
Right. And that really is his underlying motive. I mean, I believe that Scott Pyle's an ignorant man, but he's not a stupid man, right? He knows what he knows what, and so he is trying to say that he started off saying that we are skull and crossbones. So he's trying to make it a fear factor, and then he connected us to all the boogeyman names right now. Connected us to equity, connected us to CRT, connected us to all the names that are scaring people for no good reasons except they need to be scared of something right now, right? And so you're right. In doing that, he's trying to say that we are doing something secret and scary, and then the next thing will always be, they're going to damage your children, they're going to do something like that. So it is again, there's an underlying goal to what he's trying to do, which is why you can't leave that goal unanswered. And you were right. I did see that this morning, that there was vandalism on Harrods campus, of the Delta Tree and other places, and I thought about that. I thought about that because, if you're in my position, if you're the elected chair of a county, and when I was elected, I became the first person of color to be an elected chair in Virginia's history. And the threats just start pouring in the next day. I mean, like literally the next day. So I am not used to getting threatening statements, threatening words, or just flat out threats. But then you attach sinister implications to it, and it does make it all the more serious for me, for all my sorors as well. And so he is ignorant, he is not stupid, and he is dangerous.
Terrain.
My question is, what precautions are you taking because of this? And are you getting in front of the messaging that this man is trying to do, like kind of trying to link you all with these dangerous groups or these groups that are caught up in conspiracy theories for people?
Yeah, so I will say that in Loudoun County, there have been quite a few people who have got in front of that message, who've talked about how kind of ridiculous it is. There hasn't been, to my surprise, there hasn't been any media stories about it, except media stories on social media. But there have been quite a few people who got in front of it. He says he talked to Deltas today. I seriously doubt that he talked to Deltas. If he talked to Deltas in my county, I'd be getting phone calls about that. I would know that. I will tell you what has happened today. I have had Republicans call me today and just say, we cannot believe this is happening. We did, some people said I didn't vote for him to be chair of the committee. So that has happened today. So there are people who are realizing how dangerous this man can actually be. Now, he just was elected chair of their committee, and I believe it's a 2-year term, so he'll be there for a while. But I do think that the best disinfected is sunlight. And so what I'm trying to do on my social media here, and Roland, I appreciate you very much, is putting sunlight on that, because you cannot let this stuff fester in the dark. You just can't.
Well, you're right. That's exactly how we got Trump, because a whole bunch of folks in mainstream media played footsie with Donald Trump, and I called him out at CNN.
And didn't take him seriously.
Oh, I just understand, before I go to Greg, when I was at CNN, I called out Donald Trump on the air, and I said, anytime I said, why we keep calling this man? I said, we should run a crawl at the bottom that says, this is for entertainment purposes only. Ken Jouts, the executive vice president of CNN, who is still the executive vice president at CNN, sent me an email, said, do not criticize Donald Trump. He's coming on our air. And I criticized his ass that night.
Absolutely.
My deal is like, I got other jobs. I'm good. Greg, your question, Phyllis Randall.
Thank you, Roland. And thank you, Chair Randall. If Scott Pyle wanted to have his head explode looking at the power of Black sororities and fraternities, and maybe he would have been able to peek into a room like I've been able to peek into when I've been one of the many who've been honored to do workshops with Delta, when you all have Deltas on the Hill. If he ever walked into Washington Hilton and seen that room, he probably melt and drain into the men's room. but I raised this in particular when I think about Oswald, my sister, of course, your soror, who's over in equity, the first cabinet level position to have an equity person in a cabinet level position because, again, of your former national president, who was over there, the head of HUD. And Scott Pyle don't know what he's talking about. He should, if he knew what he was talking about, he better back up off of Delta. I know that much. But I guess I want to ask you, really, and you began to say this at the beginning, this strategy they have. I know Scott Pyle has talked about taking over school boards and the board of supervisors. How much of this is driven by this attempt to take over local government? I understand some of the Republicans have called you and said, I didn't vote for him. Yeah, but y'all back these people when they get in office. I mean, could you talk to us about what their strategy is at the local level to try to wage this war?
Right. I think what they've realized, and there's some truth to it. Local government is a bench usually for what is called higher office, and so Loudoun has been the epicenter for harassment, for lies, for violence. The lie of CRT. I say all the time, if your seventh grader is taking CRT, then your seventh grader is brilliant, because they take all this level of classes. If they're your seventh grade taking CRT, congratulate them and move it on, right? So Loudoun is the epicenter for all of those lies. It's been kind of the proving ground, the training ground, and it started when the now governor Glenn Youngkin was running for governor. Now Loudoun, he didn't win Loudoun. He lost Loudoun by double digits, but he made a big enough dent in it. And I think they believe that if they can get to these local offices, to the school boards, to the city council, to the board of supervisors, equalization boards, planning commissions, all those types of things, then that gives them the pipeline for the state Senate seats, the governor's seats, the congressional seats, the U.S. Senate seats. So there is a strategy to what they're doing. And, when you talk about words like CRT, it's a boogeyman word. When you talk about words like grooming, first of all, it's disgusting. It's just a disgusting thing to say, especially if you're somebody who's ever dealt with physical violence, sexual assault as a child. To use it as a political tool is just abhorrent. But it's also a strategy to start from the ground up and build the party from the ground up and start it at the school board level. And so we need to be aware of what they're doing and why they're doing it. And let me say that, all the Greek organizations, all the D9, we're nonpartisan organizations. We just are. And Mr. Kwesi Mfume used to say, when he was president of NAACP, he used to say, we don't have permanent political parties and we don't have permanent people, but we have permanent positions. Right? We have permanent positions, not people, not party, but positions. And it is important for people in the D9 to not look at the letter behind the name, the D and the R, but look at the positions people are putting forward. And are those people in those positions going to move your agenda forward? Are those people in your positions going to help your neighbors, your friends, the people who have been left behind in so many ways, communities of color, women, people with disabilities? What are they going to do with those communities? And so, a lot of people want to make it just about R&D, but as Roland said last night, there are Republican Greeks. Heck, there are white Republican Greeks. But it's the positions that people take that we have to look at. And they're trying to put those positions in places, and in the court system, prosecutors, especially prosecutors. So it's really important that we know what we know, that there's a long-term goal here, and if we're not careful, we're going to look up in 5 years, and everyone in these positions are going to be people whose main goal is to roll back all the successes that we have worked for, that my mother worked for, that my grandmother worked for. All those things would be rolled right back. And we've got to know that that is their plan, and not look back, not look past it, not laugh at it, not just assume that no one's going to believe them because they're not rational, logical people. People believe them, right? I mean, January 6th was a real thing. People believe that ridiculousness, and we've got to have a faster game. We have to pay attention to what they're doing, and we have to have a rapid response.
Indeed. Phyllis Randall, I appreciate you joining us. And see, you going full tilt. You got the Delta Cup.
All of it.
Yeah, I see all of it. I see.
All of it. All of it.
Yeah. Look real familiar. Trust me. I've been an alpha now. My God, April 27th will be April 27th will be 33 years, and I think my wife is trying to quickly surpass me with Delta gear. I'm like, look, you ain't even been in there that long now. I'm like, you done bought enough Delta stuff. We fine. We good.
There's no such thing as enough Delta stuff.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
That's not a true. That's not a real thing.
Yes, it is. I limit Delta stuff to one room in the house. That's it. One room. We ain't spilling over into 3 or 4 other rooms now. All right, Phyllis, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right, but for people to follow me on P Randall Cares. That's my Twitter handle. Please give me a follow.
All right, then. We'll do. Thanks a lot.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?